own song that we want. You know, we like if we're traveling, going from a show or coming to a show or something. We hear one, we just stop the car right there. I always had a pencil and a pad to write on, and I'd take the words off in shorthand, and Stoney would get the tune. So the next day, we'd sing the song.
Yeah.
We had to sing. On the radio, we was doing radio shows every day then. So we recorded, I believe, it was 16 sides for Richardtown in Asheville, North Carolina. So when we was recording, we did The Wicked Path of Sin. Bill Nowlin sung it, we liked it, I took it off, and we did it. Well, we recorded the thing, and don't you know, we didn't know that he had written the song, and we didn't know he had recorded the song. But we recorded on Richardtown, and it came out, and Bill said he was going up through Virginia, and here it was all over the jukeboxes through there, his song, and he'd recorded it for Columbia and had it in the can. He'd written the song and everything, but he made the mistake of singing it on the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
So that's how we got it.
Probably the last time he did
And
that.
beat him out with it.
Yeah.
And that was awful. We would have never done it, you know.
Not if you know.
No, had we known it. It's really something. So that's it. But we got, I think we did 16 sides for Richardtown.
How about the other song there?
This World Can't Stand Long. We did that and Tramp on the Street on the same record. And both sides was a hit.
That was the first one you did just...
It was the first one released.
Yeah.
And then we did Two Little Orphans. And, let's see, Two Little Orphans. And the song, there's been 2 or 3 come out with the same tune now. What's the name of that? It's been so long ago, it's hard to remember all those. Little Rosewood Casket. A lot of those. We did Blue Mountain Girl. My Dreamboat is Drifting. What Can I Say? I don't remember what was on the back of What Can I Say. But I've got a lot of those.
I think I have a list of them.
I tried to keep a copy of every one that was released, and then I've got something like an old master on some of them.
How did you first get in touch with Jimmy Stanley?
We was working at WWNC in Asheville, North Carolina, and he was at Johnson City, Tennessee, but that wasn't very far from Asheville. And he got in contact with us.
He'd heard about you or heard
Well,
you
he
on
heard
the
us
radio.
on WWNC, right.
He was just starting
And
out.
yes, right,
Yeah.
And he came over there, and we did all of those songs one night at the studio at the radio
All the
station.
16, right?
Yes,
And,
one
yeah.
night at WWNC.
And then you were on WWVA by the time they got released, weren't you?
Yes, we stayed at Asheville 3 months, and then we went. Listen, we was there March. No, we must have stayed 5 months. We was there March, April, May, and June. 26th of July, we went to work of 1947 at Wheeling, West Virginia.
And that's about the time that Tramp on the Street
It came out while we was there.
He used to sell those by mail. I think that was probably one of the first times that
They put it on, yes. We put that thing on the radio there for the people to buy. I believe it was $1 a record. Then, 78s. And I'll tell you, I just don't know how many orders. You never seen the like of orders come in. And there was mail them out of Johnson City, Jim Stamp, you know. And back then, he didn't know how to pack them. There was 78s to keep them from getting broken. And why, over half of them that went out to the people were broken in the mail. And had a terrible time, see, getting them replaced and everything. It about broke the company. And it was, the reason was, he didn't pack them right. They wasn't packed right. You just couldn't put them in a box with 2 cardboards on them, because they'd throw heavy packages on them, and the records broken on 78, you know, break so easily. So we had to take them off the air because of the packing situation.
you were advertising them over the air, and then you decided you better stop them.
Yes, they were selling them on the air, and then
You're
so many
too many
getting broken.
replacements.
So many getting broke because you had to replace, you know, I mean, it wasn't their fault.
Was it a decision that you and him made together?
Yes, right. Stoney called him and told him that he just thought it would be better if we just quit selling them because of the breakage. And then it was costing Mr. Stanton double, having to send another record out.
It kind of hurt you too in a backwards
That's
sort of
right,
way.
it sure would. So, but we sold, we had a record shop there in Wheeling. We bought a record shop. And we sold 20,000 of them right there out of our record shop in that area.
That one record or
That one record?
the variety? Yeah.
Just, This World Can't Stand Long, Tramp on the Street. And,
Did you write This World Can't Stand Long?
Pardon?
Was that one that you wrote, This World Can't Stand
No,
Long?
we didn't write neither one of those.
Do you know where that came from?
Yes. The boy wrote that. Can't think of what his name is right now. But at the time, he'd written some songs for Acuff and for Johnny and Jack. It was that same boy that wrote there. Can't remember. Stoney probably can remember what his name is. But,
It says here, I don't know if this is right. It says
That's right.
Wilma and Stoney plus one
one
voice.
voice.
Who is that?
That is Ab Cole.
Ab Cole? Like
Ab
C-O-L-E?
Cole, C-O-L-E. He worked for us. He lives in Mannington, West Virginia. Ab worked for us for 10 years. He played bass and comedy and sung in our trio. We just used a trio then. And,
Are those instruments correct?
and the mandolin on This World Can't Stand Long was Bill Carver, the boy that played dobro for us tonight. Bill Carver was working for us then.
He is fine.
And the guitar, I played the guitar on that. And the bass on it was played by Ab Cole.
There was a bass on it then.
You don't have a bass fiddle on there, but he played the bass, Ab Cole. The one that sung the third part.
Right.
And The Wicked Path of Sin was the same.
Same.
Incidentally, did you tell him both sides of that hit?
Yeah.
The Wicked Path of Sin and the Tramp on the Street?
Tramp on the Street in This World Can't Stand Long. Same record.
That's right. This world can't stand long and the Tramp on the Street. And both sides hit. And of course, Columbia come with Monty O'Day, well, they covered us up with records because of the major label.
Yeah.
But if Jim had just had the money,
I think it was mostly
yes.
a lack of money to push it on his
That
part.
was his, that was the
he was
problem.
operating on a shoestring. And he was honest enough to tell me that. The man was crippled and all, And we never charged him anything for cutting the record. I paid my own time.
Yeah.
And I went ahead and done it because he was so. He was honest, wasn't he, with us?
Yes, he was an awful honest man
Yeah,
with us,
and he
and
seemed so
so
enthused
sincere and such a
glad
good
to
man.
get us on
his label.
On his label, So I never knew about it. And even when we left him to go with Columbia.
I wanted to ask you about that because he had you signed to a contract.
Sir?
He had you signed to a contract, but then you got an offer to come
he
here.
knew that he had made up, like a union scale. He knew that a lawyer could break that, which we never even discussed that phase of it. I called him and told him we had a chance to go with Columbia. And I'm sure, that he probably looked at it like we would. He said, well, yes, I'll have to as much as I hate to lose you. And as we talked along, he says, there's one thing I'm thankful for, that I knew the talent that even Columbia wants, and had on my label first, he said.
Well,
Then Decca tried to buy all them back masters, you see. And he offered it then, something like $3,000. Yeah, it was $3,000 for a couple of 2 or 3 sides. He wanted to buy. And you think he would not sell them? And needed the money too. And back then, in '48, I guess it was, that was pretty good. That was a hunk of money then,
Yeah.
And now he could have used that $3,000. And I said, Jim.
But he just thought so much of them.
I said, Jim,
Just let him go.
he said, what would you do, Stoney? I said, well, I'll tell you. If I were you, I'd sell them.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, it's the only thing I've got left of them. I said, well, if that's the way I valued it like that, then I would make the decision. You make it. Whatever it is, he said, if I do sell it, I'd give you half of it. I said, no, Jim, you were nice enough to let us off without any squabble. And you part as the same people as we were before. He understand it, brother, Sam.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you look at his catalog that he had then, the songs that he recorded, and you'll find a lot of, like, hit songs that he had.
He sure did.
For just that little label.
And he knew what he was doing, I guess.
He did.
Yes, sir.
He really did.
And apparently he had the same thing happened with the Stoney brothers. They got an offer
Yes.
too.
They went with Columbia
went
too.
Columbia.
And he
too.
just, he said, fine, you know,
We
I'm
went
glad
first.
you could move on.
Yes, we went first, and then they got a deal, and they cut the first one was that White Dove. Boy, it's a good.
That's I really like that. And they had, with him, they had the little glass of wine. It comes out on Columbia too.
He did
They had that
Molly
with-
and Ten Brooks.
They had Ten Brooks, Molly, and did they have,
Lots of good records.
let's see now, was A Man of Constant Sorrow?
Yeah.
I don't remember that one. There is a record out now that presents their richer tone sides all together.
Is there?
It's brought all of them together.
He said, Bill, isn't it?
Yes.
He told me that he has a label. Now who do you have on it now?
Us?
You say,
We did a record with Oswald.
yeah.
Did one with Tut Taylor. Not too many people from Nashville. We did one with Norman Blake also. And we've been specializing kind of in going around and recording people that hadn't been recording too much recently or never had a chance to. We re-recorded Snuffy Jenkins and Pappy Sherrill. I don't know if you ever knew that. Homer Sherrill.
Yes, I sure do.
Fiddle player. And we're hoping to do an album soon.
Jenkins, that's the first time I've heard that name in 20 years.
Well, it's about the first time we heard it. We called him right
I
up.
you just had to register there a little bit. Yes, sir.
And we did a record back 2 years ago in Columbia.
You did.
The two of them. It came out really well.
How old is he?
Oh, I don't know. He's pretty old.
He's middle 60s,
Yeah.
71.
Yeah, he's
You know,
pretty
back
seriously
then,
thinking about
you
getting it
didn't
all up.
Nobody showed their age in it, you know.
Yeah.
And you think of them as when you last saw them.
You know, he's pretty
Now,
old.
you know the kind of songs that we recorded there, and that kind of music is the kind that I really like the best. Just,
Yeah, I was listening to you tonight. I couldn't even hear you too much because of the electric instruments. I think
Okay,
in the
that
front of the
brings up a
stage and on
point.
the radio, I could have
The
heard
first
it better.
song-
yes,
talking about
the
the
thing
first
is,
Okay.
those speakers they've got on there.
I'm glad you mentioned because Mr. Wendell came to me and said, just when we backed away from the trio,
Yeah,
it sounded like we went out to the wall.
that's right. That's why I say, you know, we really need
But
to
we
use two
didn't-
lights
yes,
because three
we're
can't
gonna
get
have
in
to do
good
it. He
enough.
said, well, whatever it is, I want you'd like to know. But he said, I had Connie, and he said she had sounded, real good because she was in there, nobody else singing with
That's
her.
right, but one
At the
person
level all the
can.
time. He said he is in his car radio. If I may say this, and then we followed it. Well, it sounded like we was coming from the wall, he says.
Uh-huh.
And I said, you mean you didn't hear Wilma on the verses? Oh, yes. Now, on the verses, fine. But when she backed up for you and George, I
Come
guess,
in,
was
that's
singing
right.
with, it just sounded like you left. He said, now, I'm not complaining, but I figure you want
That's
something
right.
done about it. I said, yeah, I certainly do. Well, I see, he said the same thing. He couldn't hear the singing. I knew there's something wrong because the applause was down. You can tell by the audience. They
But
didn't hear us.
when you sang I Shall Not Be Moved, though, you
Sir.
could hear that fine.
Moved
Yeah,
in, you see, he was using three mics.
microphones. I used one, Carol one, and you all one.
Yeah.
But still,
And
it
what-
is kind of hard to hear from the side of the
Yes,
stage.
it is
here.
because they've got speakers
Yes.
on there for them to hear with too,
Right,
the
monitor.
musicians.
But you would have heard it if it had been coming through right. Not good, but you would have heard it. It would have been louder than the guitars.
I was telling you, we did 16 sides, I thought it was, with Richard Tone. One night, all one
Did you
night.
ever think you were
What time did you start? What time
I
did you
think
finish?
about
You know?
7 o'clock in the
7
evening.
o'clock,
And
and
it
we
must have been about 2 when we come out of there. We went
Uh,
at 8.
It wasn't that late, it was about midnight. Seemed me like it was midnight, and then he played them all for us
I was trying to remember
after we got them
when.
all done. And then we went and...
You just went from
Oh,
one
you
to
just
the
one
other,
into
just
the
to-
other. Wasn't no problem at all like it is now to getting
Yeah.
a record station done.
What were they using? Were they using tape at that time?
I know, they was
No,
using the big
acetate.
records.
Acetate,
Uh-huh.
And tape came in about a year or two later.
Yeah.
This was 47, I think.
Yes, 47.
And they done it right in the studio at the radio station.
At the radio station, WWNC, where we was working.
Of course, they were used to handle us.
And used their
engineer,
control man and
I did
everything.
tell him to bring in their best engineer.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's
he
not-
was off, but he came in that night to do it special for us.
Yeah.
Because the radio station was on the air going the other way while we was using the studios, and of course, and I know we had to stop a couple of times for news.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, really. As you look back, it's funny, but we never thought much about it then. We was recording.
What the news was back then is kind of different from what you hear today on the news, too.
That's right.
Yeah, oh, very much
47.
different. Oh, yeah.
I was
very much
I was
different.
2 years old back then.
Really?
I didn't hear too much of the news.
But I'll tell you, back then it was, you were real close to people. And
Well, you could get
they would press against that glass
Let me
to
tell
see you know, in the studio.
working radio programs. You know, television changed
Every
things.
day.
But we worked them every day.
Every day.
And you'd go into a
Seen them press against that glass.
you go into a city.
Thinking they could hear you better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaker coming
You'd
over.
go into a city and you'd work till you worked the territory out that the station covered.
Yeah.
And usually a year and a half to 2 years, then you'd go to another station, see, because you worked it out. And
Seen you.
so we went into Asheville, North Carolina, where we did this record station here. And we went in there, and the company was owned by the newspaper. So they promised us a lot of things when we went in there. So we worked, how long did we work? 6 weeks, wasn't it?
In there?
Yes, before we work a day. We
No,
always had a
I was gonna
policy.
go, I was gonna go a month. I said it'd take us a month to.
Yeah, we always had a policy when we went to a station. We wouldn't work a date till we'd worked, you know, like
So
a
you
month or
so you
6
can't
weeks.
have a good crowd.
Till the people was familiar with us.
The
see.
first week or so, in comes a postcard from Fairview. I'll never forget it.
Fairview, North
Fairview,
Carolina.
North
North Carolina. And I thought to myself, because we weren't acquainted with the area, and I said to the announcer, I said, "Where's Fairview?" I said, "There's a postcard here. They'd like to have us out for a show." Well, he said, "Heavens, it's just to the outfit." He said, "About 6 or 8 miles out of Asheville."
Yeah, I think it was 8 months.
And I said, "Oh my goodness!" I said, "I doubt if we could draw a crowd there because they're coming up here free to see us." Well, I said, "I don't know." Then I thought, "Well, now what can I lose? Paying salaries anyway, you know. What can I lose if we just try that when it's only 8 miles out?" So I answered it, went out and saw them ever get out, set up the deal. Advertised it on our program for 2 weeks. I don't know whether, I guess they own the newspaper. They probably ran an ad for me or so, you know. We went out there. Had 900 people in that high school auditorium was packed and jammed and turned them away.
They must have had really great crowds back then. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
it
heard
was.
several
Just
people say
your show. Just, you know,
Yeah, you
nobody
just
with
work,
you. Just yours.
you do a 2-hour show.
This is
And
crazy. This is crazy here. I hadn't been here for 5 years. You
Yeah.
come on and do one song, you get off.
Yeah, oh,
That's it.
it's
No,
silly.
yeah. See, back then, and then you could
The
do,
fun's gone.
you could do the song, you know, those good old songs. Now, when you get one song, what you're doing is your latest record,
Yeah.
trying to pitch it. And you're not doing really.
I think people are getting
what people
tired of
wanna
hearing
hear.
it
You
say
don't get any personality across in one song either. That's
No.
I think people are getting
And,
tired of hearing us say, "We just recorded this," or "We
Yeah.
want to do our latest record." You know, everybody says it. I think they're tired of us saying it.
And the material that really that the people listen to and like to hear out there, that's sitting and listening to the radio, that'll draw you mail, is not, when you do it on the stage here, is not a song that you get a big hand with, see? So you're
Two
working it
different
from different angles, see, when you're working here. And I don't know, I like to do radio programs. And I just wish you to go back to that again, but I don't know.
We have a very good chance now of doing syndicated radio. Well, if it does,
But-
there's where we came in.
If it has the listeners like it used to.
Oh, it can build that.
Did your show used to be syndicated at all before
Yes.
through
Yes, we
transcription?
did.
Or?
Yeah, we did Carter's Little Liver Pills, it was called, and Carter shows, and they was 15-minute shows.
Did you ever save any of the transcriptions?
I've got 2 or 3 of them, and they were
Just
played.
four of us.
Just 4 of us. The ones that was Stoney and Ab Cole and Bill Carter and I,
And the announcer.
and the announcer, and that played on 50,000 watt stations across the whole United States. And they would introduce us, like down in Charlotte, North Carolina. When we was working at Wheeling at the time, we had early morning programs. We'd be going to the radio station. You could turn the dial on because they run these about 6 o'clock in the morning, anywhere from 5 to 6. You could turn across there and you could catch our program, 3 or 4 places, going at the same time. And they had introduced us down there in Charlotte, just like we were right there in the studio. It was that transcribed show.
Do you remember Grady Cole?
I've seen pictures of her.
He's the one
He
to
would
bring us on.
fantastic job. He'd bring us on, and you couldn't have told if we were transcribed. Now, Wilma and Stoney are standing by in the studio ready to go. Let me just get this thing in and get out of the way and turn it over to him. He'd bring you in so slick that really we started getting calls for personal appearances written to
WBT.
WBT. They thought we was there in person.
Oh, we had people coming down to the studio to see you.
Oh, yes, yeah. There's where they'd get fooled. Then I talked to him after that. He was promotion with Red Foley, and then they had hired us there at Asheville, what was it?
Mm-hmm.
And Red came in there to Asheville and played in the City Auditorium. I said, oh, my goodness. Get Wilma and Stoney in their show because they're right here and get better advertising all of that than anything else.
That's
And it'd be cheaper. And I think it was $250 advance or something. But Brady was the promoter, and he told me about it. We discussed it. He said, oh, that was fine.
Is your name Stoney? Is that the name you were given, or is that sort of a
No,
nickname?
that's not my given name. That's a nickname I got after I teamed up with her. Really had started Smiley, which didn't fit me too well. But then there's another Smiley at WWBA, so he objected to it, and I was the newer one. So I think what was the contest come in, or somebody wrote in to, to give you a name and it come up Stone. I wish I could get
What did they win?
a name because it's Dale, it's a 4-letter.
Yeah.
4-letter.
What did they win for the contest?
Usually a picture or something,
Probably given a family picture of her group, her family. I imagine that's what we did. They'd write then, just so they knew that they were being received. It didn't matter what the free item was. Boy, they'd come out.
When we came in here to the Grand Ole Opry, we came in from Wheeling. And speaking of radio programs, they used to have an early morning program, like one act would do it a week, and then another act that would be in town for a week would do it. So we were on it, and at the time we had just had Walking My Lord at Calvary's Hill come out. So they was wanting a mail pitch. Stoney and I, we pitched merchandise at Wheeling all the time. It was a PI station. So they was trying to get a mail pull thing to see, it's a survey they take where their station's going and so forth. So we got the idea, well, this is our new record, and we'll just give 25 copies away to people that write. Was it from the longest distance, Stoney, or how was that?
Well, I think we went down. I finally wound up with it like that, but the earliest postmark
Early
was
was the first thing.
Goodness sakes, those should come in at 5, dropped it in at 5 in the morning. Yeah. Then we changed that. We got such a fantastic response. I was here, and that was in 58.
58.
And they,
So
go ahead and finish your story.
then they said really then it wasn't fair to the people some way that lived someplace like in the other time zones and things, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know how it worked. But anyway, so then they decided to give 25 more away to the furthest, you know, the one that
Yeah.
rode from the farthest point. And it ended up,
No, he bought 200. He said it seems ridiculous. The Grand Ole Opry manager then was Lee Kilpatrick.
well,
And he
anyway.
said it's ridiculous, just 25 records, he says.
Yeah, that's what they was going to do,
The
25.
mail has been so tremendous, he says, we can't get it. So he called Hickory Records, he said, we'll buy 100 if you kick in 100. And Wesley says, he told him the story. He said, okay.
So, but anyway, the point I was getting around to, you know, that the mail that come in here, they couldn't believe it. The radio station said they had never seen mail like that for how long?
Last 10 years.
For the past 10 years.
That's why you're still here too, I guess.
So,
Sir.
That's why you're still here too, I guess.
Well, you know, we let it get away from us. We went out on a tour with Hank Snow and was out 46
went to
days.
Canada, worked 46 days straight,
And,
straight across from one end to the other. And that was a month and a half, see? Almost 2 months time you'd go and work your dates and then drive back because we had to come back from Nova Scotia.
And the man who is the manager now was their top salesman then. He come to our house, boy. And he said, we can sell this show, he says. Oh, it just was an inopportune time to leave Nashville.
Yeah.
For so long. See,
46
it had been
days,
gone
you see.
a week. And
He would have sold us probably a national account off of that much mail, you see, because they proved the people are out there listening.
Yeah.
This is what they go by. This is their pulse speed. But by the time we get back, well, that's almost 6 weeks.
Yeah.
yeah, your excitement's over.
The excitement had died down somewhat, you see. And I now would have followed that up pretty heavy on phone calls, but
Yeah.
at that time it was, we'd only been here a year, and you hate to press your luck. It's a big place.
With the, I had just one other question, really. With the Richard Tone records, did he pay you a royalty for those records? How did you?
Well, there was supposed to be, wasn't there, according to the contract?
Well, here's what happened.
Pretty much you.
He got in a bad mind.
Well, he knew about the records being sold through the mail. I told you how the man lost money with the breakage.
Yeah, I went over that with him.
Yeah. So,
But here's
we
what
did-
I'm sure
happened.
they helped you in terms of appearances,
Oh,
spreading.
they
you know.
did, and This World Can't Stand Alone is the one that got us the Columbia contract.
We sold 20,000 records
Right in
ourselves through that
Valley,
panhandle.
right
So you
there.
buy them from Richard Tone.
Uh-huh.
How much?
You know,
How much
I
did you?
was very, very reasonable. What did he charge us?
I don't remember now. It's been so long.
Maybe
He used to sell them to the
a
stores. I think
quarter
he
or
said
something like that, just
$49.10.
over there, because he knew that we were, entitled.
That's a
to it.
way to
Yeah,
pay you in a sense.
that's right. He tried to make that back to us. We come out ahead of the game,
Well, if you sold 20,000 of
Well,
them,
sure.
you must have
There's
made $10,000
$20,000
anyhow.
for sure. So, I mean, that's a
pretty
pretty
good.
good royalty check.
Yeah.
I haven't received one like that with any of the majors.
Yeah. They,
No, at
they-
one time, I'm talking about,
Right.
that's the truth.
They spend so much on studio costs that you hardly ever see
brother,
anything these
they
days.
rack it. Oh, no, it's just horrible.
When was the last album that you did cut? You with Decca now?
Decade. Well, the last album we cut was the gospel one we've got now. Was for Skylight.
Gospel.
I hadn't seen that yet.
Have you not seen
It's
it?
just a gospel label.
Yeah. That's one of the songs we done out of I Shall Not Be Moved.
Where's the label based? Here in
Here in
Nashville?
Nashville.
Do you have a mailing address?
17th Avenue.
That's
Yeah.
right where the Gospel Music Association
Skylight.
is.
Mhm.
Are they
Skylight,
connected? Same thing?
Yeah, right here in town.
16th Avenue South
Yeah.
is.
No, I was over at the
17.
Gospel Music Association this afternoon. I've been trying to find this group called the Caudill Family.
I hope I'm not
I don't know.
following you up
no,
here
there's
on the way I'm going.
There's no order. There are a few of these
Hey,
groups.
Roy Hall, have you got Bluebird? If you get a hold of, Don't Let Your Sweet Love Die,
Yeah.
Roy Hall on Bluebird.
I've got that on 78, Roy Hall.
Yeah, wore out. I'll
You can get a tape.
really do you a
You
favor.
can get a tape of it. I don't know about the original
Well, all
records
right, a
and stuff
tape.
like that, but tapes are
Tape,
fairly
fine.
easy. Because I know a lot of collectors. That's where all these came from.
That's it.
We don't have any ourselves.
Roy was.
I've got a grandmother that you might call her. My grandmother had one of the first old graphophones ever
I'll tell
made.
you, I wonder
And she's
what
got all the old records that she got back
what
then.
happened to her, those
So
records.
she's
I'd
still
love to
got
have
them.
them.
If
Try
I
to
can just
get
get
'em.
up there, all I gotta do is go up there and she'll give them to me. I know I can,
Just got to make sure she
Or-
has some trouble.
Nashville, Tennessee, 37206. The phone number is 227-3396.
Unlisted.
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 It is, I mean, you couldn't call and
Yeah.
get it, you know. Well, sure would appreciate a copy of that record.
Yeah. I'll probably transcribe this interview and put it in the Country Music Hall of Fame or something like that, or whatever that's worth.
Oh, have you had
well,
that? Had us on
that would be
interview
great.
here?
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, that would
Didn't
be
you know that?
What all did I say? No, I didn't.
Oh. Maybe I better send it to you to check it first.
No,
my
you don't
accuracy.
say that.
Said it, did I?
You didn't slander anyone.
No, you'd
No,
be
I
sued for
thought never to
slander.
do that. Anyway.
But you say you saw Jim Stanton?
Now, I didn't personally see it. There's
You
two
have.
other people, Ken and Marion, that are working on this with me, and they did see him. I'm going to go see him on Monday. I'm going to go
Oh,
see
give
the
him our
Bailey brothers
best.
tomorrow and the Brewster brothers. I'm going to visit both of
I started to tell
them.
you the story. The end of that story was the end of Jim in the record business. You see, he had run up quite a bill, I guess, on his pressing, and by all that breakage that he had, really put him, like I told you, he was operating on probably
On
a
a
shoestring.
shoestring.
Yeah. Well, he told me, he said, I have no money, Stoney. He said, but if it keeps coming in like this, he says, we can build a pretty good company.
And it's just a
It's
shame.
a shame he didn't
But
package that better.
we bought
Well,
the
wait,
record.
let me finish
Oh.
this because I tried it 3 times. And I said, well, Jim, we'll go along as we can, you know. And then we finally got it on the air, and bang, boy, it went, you know. And then he had all that breakage. Well, when he rolled up this big bill, then a fellow by the name of Miller, I don't know whether you're familiar with him, out of Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah, Dave Miller?
That's the guy. Confiscated all those masters. Yanked them from him. And he put them out. He and I had it back in my record shop there in Wheeling, you know, back in the back room while you was operating in the front. I told him, I said, Dave, that isn't right. I said, you don't have permission to sell us. He said, oh, yes, I do. When the man owes me money. He says, oh, he's very, very egotistical. And I said, well, I'll stop you if I can. But even on, I found out through the lawyers I couldn't stop him.
No, not when he bought that contract, see.
No, he didn't
Or
buy
he
it.
didn't
just
buy it, he took
confiscated
it for
Yeah,
money
just
owed,
took it,
right.
Yeah, money owed.
But I don't know.
He said, I got to get my money back.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to get it.
That was a shame.
And did you buy your records back from Jim?
Yes, we bought, no, you mean the Masters?
Yeah, or the rights to them or something.
No, we
No.
got the masters. All we
Now,
did was,
I've got Masters, yes, now we got 4.
those are
I've got
Wilma.
Masters on 4 that we got back.
I don't think they are masters. I think they're spin-offs of the masters. I think Miller got those. So Miller said, I got it all. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. They've never come out before I've got.
No, I've never heard of it.
No. Or we've got.
Well,
I was going to tell you, then we bought our record shop in Wheeling, and of course 78 records were in then. If I'd just have known, I'd have told the man how to pack them without getting broken.
You could have run a
So
mail.
when we got, mail order, big mail order. So we take a box, the regular record box, and you wad newspaper. Then you put your cardboard. Then your record, more cardboard, and more newspaper. The newspaper was a cushion for
More
it.
flexible.
And I never had any breakage.
How big a box did you mail in? That
About
2 inches thick? An inch and a
About
half?
2 inch.
It's the boy, she spent more postage making sure they got there because we had that bad experience with his.
But
And he just used
I was the only one.
two
that
fillers.
packed, but they didn't get broken.
He just
If our
used
girls did, they'd get broken, remember?
2 fillers. And the record was in between that and tape wrapped around
And
it.
that's all said.
You
And
might
can't-
know that would get broken, I don't know, but no, there he was, so probably.
But I
needed the
didn't know
money,
then neither, see.
Instead of buying the right kind
We
of
didn't know
cartridge.
then how to package, or we could have called him and told him. see?
Well, but the way after I saw how this packed, goodness, anybody would figure that.
Did you buy the boxes then to pack them in
Oh,
yourself?
yes, we bought the record shop, and then we had the mail order, advertised it off WWVU.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you had to buy the boxes and the fillers. And it was all,
Then you
didn't buy
didn't
them,
have
just
much-
get
much
Do you remember how
breakage.
much it cost for the boxes?
No, I can't remember because we buy them by the thousands.
Did you get them for less than a nickel each?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's
Uh-huh.
not
So
expensive.
they cost about 15 cents each now.
Yeah, now.
Oh, they're terrible.
I think
Isn't
we
that
was
awful?
getting that for about 3 or 4 cents.
I thought, wasn't it $30-some, $1,000? But I
Well,
couldn't
that'd
say
be-
for
oh,
sure.
that would be
We run a lot.
3
We
cents.
do a mail order business in albums. I wish
You
we
do?
wish we could get them for that much.
I was doing,
Well, just everything, so you know what.
Albums are easy.
Sir?
Albums are easy. You can mail
Yes.
them in
Yeah,
paper.
yeah.
we was,
And then they got records.
we was
They're
doing-
banned now. They used to, boy, ooh, just the least bit of it, it was snap.
we had a
You can roll them up now.
We had a $50-some thousand a year mail order business. Records 79 cents.
You sold them by mail for 79 cents.
Yeah,
That's
same,
a good deal.
79.
That's when it-
That's
that was like a
78.
surprise for 'em.
But now, we sell a lot of records through mail. That's not counting what the store did.
We did.
How much was the postage for a record back then?
It
remember
wasn't
that?
too much.
Sir?
The postage per record?
Wasn't too high then,
Probably 5 cents.
something like that.
Do they have a special rate for records at that time?
Yeah, we got a stamp.
Yeah, we had a special
Special.
rate. We went to the post office. But then I sent out, of course, I kept that business going. I kept pretty good tab on it. I kept a list of every person that ever ordered.
Yeah.
Then the people that didn't know what they wanted or what our store had, I had a list. All they had to do is write and ask for it.
Yeah.
And so then we went to the post office and we got what they call canceled stamps at a reduced,
They just
a
canceled
reduced
right there.
rate on bulk. It had to be so many though.
Yeah.
You just couldn't send out one. You had to send out
Yeah.
stacks of them. And then we got it at a reduced rate, and they'd be pre-canceled stamps they'd sell us. All you do is stick it on there, it's already
You see-
canceled out.
One reason we got to stay at the mail list was I done pretty much what Ernest Tubb done. I went to the manager of the station. He was took a very, very great interest in us, and he was anxious to see our record shop go because that would anchor us at Wheeling.
Yeah.
And so he consequently sold me the time at a very reduced rate. So we broadcast out of there, I think ours was a half hour instead of an hour.
Yeah.
But gee, they packed in there right after the chamber was over up there, man. They headed for the Wilma and Stoney record shop. And you couldn't see the
Do
place.
you keep it open at night?
Oh yeah. We had a girl in there, Bill Carver's wife, worked for us a while, and different ones like that.
How late would you stay open on a Saturday night?
Clear through to
We'd
1
stay till
o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Then I
that's why
worked
that
the
the
store.
station really went out,
I worked the
way out there.
Were you right next door to the station, the shop?
About a block and a
nearby.
half, 2 blocks.
Right next to Sears and Roebuck.
Then I worked the store when we wasn't out on shows, see, the Gwinnett Morning World.
Wilma loved it.
So
I didn't. enjoy
one
it.
day I had a man come in. It's the funniest thing because we had a pretty good sized store. Then it had a excuse me, had like a stage. You walked up some steps, and then there was a great big, it's like a room there, and a stage to work off, see. Well, around that was all racks with records, and of course racks all downstairs with records. You know, albums.
Looks like our apartment.
Didn't have albums much then, you know, wasn't nothing on albums hardly. And this man came in one evening around 2 or 3 o'clock. So Stoney came down by. He never liked to be in the store much. He came down and said, Wilma, he said, Wilma, he said, let's go to a movie.
I used to be a restless type.
And I said, all right. I said, this man, now, hadn't asked me to play a thing, but he was just going through my stock, and he was pulling records and laying them over here on this big counter like this, cash register.
It just looked, it was a hot, sort of a hot evening, and I said, well, I said, let's close the show about 6:30. Let's go see a movie. Well, she said, why? She's shaking me off, and I didn't wonder why. I finally walked around, I said, I don't want to ask that guy to leave, and let's get out of here. She said, well, you go ahead.
Stoney said, he's not going to go buy nothing anyway.
I
told me.
said, see that stack you stacked over here?
Well, it just kept getting higher. So then he said to me,
And then a
what's
little
that
stack
up
over
there?
here. I said, now that's what.
No, now wait a minute. You got too far. He said, what's that up there? And I said, that's some more records. He said, could I go through those? And I said, certainly. Well, he went up there and he pulled records and he came down and he had, a stack, just a great big stack. Hadn't listened to a thing yet. He started listening. He put one on, he started, take it off, it's on. Wouldn't listen to nothing on, just get it started. And so then, like Stoney said, then he come back.
I come back, and there's the same guy there.
Still in there, see. Stoney went and had some and everything.
I said, I was disgusted with this. Heaven's sakes, I looked at her and I said, he had a little stack like that.
And then it's great.
And I said, and I'd been at the movie a couple of 2 or 3 hours. There she was at about 11 o'clock. Still.
You've been in there for hours and hours.
And the record shop should have been closed. I think it's 7 or something like that. Well, sure don't.
And he never said a word to me, except in what was said up there, you know. Never asked for nothing. Of course, I had everything labeled.
I just kind of just leaned over against the counter on the other side, and I just thought I'd just watch to see how far she'd go. Finally said, okay, I guess you're getting kind of tired of me. He said, oh, no, of course I'd like to answer that. But he said, have you got a box you can put these in? This was the stack he was taking, the big tall stack. I like to unpaid it. I said, Wilma, I'll be around the corner at the coffee. There's a place to get coffee. I just had to get out of there because, gee whiz, it was a 2-day sale, wasn't it?
He bought $100 and some worth of records, maybe 79 cents a piece.
Yeah.
So,
That's a lot of record.
Well,
over 100 now.
over
150
100,
maybe.
yeah, close to 150.
But he explained, that up in New York, he said, you can't find a thing like this. And so I just have to.
He said, I'd never been in the store
Went
where
wild.
I found stuff like
That's
this,
right.
records like this.
And that was
But
true.
that was the thing. When we opened that store, the reason we opened it, Stoney and I, when we went there, we'd order a record, and we'd learn, and never get it. And we got so disgusted. And we found this
5
little,
and 10 cent stores.
and there was a store called Slater's.
Slater
All of
records.
them's gonna
I'd
get it
go
for
ask
us.
for a country record and say,
Still impossible.
no, I don't have it, sir.
It's still impossible a lot of
Oh,
Just
I know.
because they don't stock.
And they'd say, I can get it for you. Well, it'd be a month later. Well,
Then
we wanted it.
there was one
we wanted a song to,
Never did get. Oh, not
to
one.
use ourselves.
So we just got disgusted. So this man had this used record business, jukebox records.
Yeah.
But he had this big store and everything. Wanted to sell it. So we went in, asked him what he wanted for it. And
I just said, if ever I open a record shop, I said, you'll be able to buy the record.
so we bought it. Well, the first
I
thing,
bought it by $1,400.
well, but all he had was used records.
Well, but you guys
So,
equipment and you
yeah.
guys place of business.
Right, yeah. So, well, anyway, then we stopped it. We bought everybody's record. There wasn't an artist that would come in there. They couldn't find the record. It'd be there. And So that's what we said we'd do if we ever, opened one. So we stopped everybody's record. And the first thing you know, we had all the business too. Well, these record shops would send people up to go through our records. Now we didn't stop pop, just country
On 70
and color.
Bill, you couldn't hardly move it.
So
You couldn't hardly
you'd find
And
women.
it was a funny thing, like back then you call soul records, as they say nowadays.
That was called
It's called
sepia
rhythm and
records.
blues.
Rhythm and blues sepia.
Yeah.
Now I stopped that.
Now
I'll
that
tell you
was
why.
a big business through the week, and so help me, those black people, they stay out of our store on Saturday,
Friday and Saturday.
Friday and
people would come in
Saturday,
there on
because
Friday.
they said, we know that's when your kind of people come in to buy them country records, and they'd buy theirs the first of the week on down. It worked fine, and brother, I was never broken into one time, not one
No.
time. Now, go ahead, you
The
make me lose my train of thought.
reason we carried those records, we had our janitor was a colored man, and he told me, he said, Wilma, he said,
Yeah, he'd give us the information.
he said, why don't you carry our records? He said, we've got to pay $1.05 down at Slater's to get one. Well, it was only a 79-cent record, just like the rest.
No, I just read it.
So I said, is that right, Frank?
Why?
So then I didn't know a thing about those kind of records. So I just took the first thing I done was took the billboard and the cash box and ordered, the top ones there. Well, then after they found out we had them, then after I got the customers coming in, then I found out what they'd want. So then we started ordering not with the charts, because then things was rigged in anyway. But we started ordering by the people. So we just had an awful business, and their records was 79 cents in our store, same as it was anyplace else. They're supposed to have been.
Except Slater's.
Except Slater's. And so we took all of his business. We had the whole colored trade. We had them coming for miles in there. And I'd sell those people records at 25 cents down. They'd give me a deposit. And I'd lay back up here, their name on the envelope. Next week they'd come in. And
when there's little gals come in, and you're supposed to go to the store and get a loaf of bread. And before they left, and I used to tell them, I said, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Before they left, she'd have a record and a package for them. They'd be leaving. I don't know what I'm going to tell Mom when I get home.
he'd come back and give her a record. Well, they's going
It
to
still
buy it
happens
anyway.
today anyhow, yeah.
But then...
But I wonder what they've done for bread, That's
Yeah,
what I
well,
always
then
wondered.
people would, then I had the colored lady that had a joint of some kind somewhere there. Real nice lady. She come in, she bought all her jukebox records from me. And so then they'd come in and they'd ask for things, and I never heard tell of. Well, I started listening around to some of those stations and to see what kind of records, they was playing.
Well,
So then they
tell
said,
you.
I said,
You
where
said,
are you
where
hearing
you
these
hearing?
records at? WLAC.
Oh, Mr. What's his
night.
name?
They had a
What
show.
was the guy's name? Used to be
I can't think now what his
Rhythm and
name
Blues.
was. Man here at
Mr.
WLAC.
So-and-so, WLAC.
Well, then
and
I
Mr.
started listening. I had to start listening to WLAC, to that show, see what this played, so I could get it
Came
in.
with the latest one, that Rhythm and Blues.
And that's how I had exactly the stuff they wanted. And I remember I threw a sale. Every once in a while I'd throw a sale. Get some stuff, wasn't going very good. Throw a big sale. And they'd buy that stock out. And so this old lady and man come in there once, and they just bought on the sale. And then after they bought all their money up, and they didn't have no needles. And they only bought it like a package with 10 needles in it, 10 cents. Just chew their records out. But that's all they bought. You couldn't sell them a good needle. So they needed some needles. They didn't have enough to buy no needles. Well, I got the shipment in, and there was a couple packages broken. So I told them, I said, well, I think I've got some loose needles here. I'll just give you some. Took them 5. Put some scotch tape on the end, taped on a little cardboard, just gave them to them. Well, you'd have thought I'd have given them $1,000. Just tickle them to death. I do little things like that for people. They really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It is good to us, and it's good to them. And we never were broken into one time. Why, they guarded that place for us. They said,
Yeah, they watch it for us.
watch so-and-so, whoever comes in here now, watch, keep your eye on.
Well, I had an awful time with Stoney in there with them. They'd come in there, they'd pawn him old razors and with the blades half wore out on them. Buying wine's what this one.
Yeah.
50 cents, $1. Well, we had razors, old beads, and I didn't
put them in
know
in the case. You
We'd put it
I'll
in
be back
there
here,
to get. They never
Mr.
come
Stoney. You
back.
put it in there. I'll be back to pick it up now. I said, well, now, right here in the
They
case.
brought it
I'll
in.
never see him again, you know. We're going to have a bunch
Oh,
of
yeah,
that
the
junk.
office bunch of junk like that.
But it paid off.
Yes, sir. Listen, if anybody,
Even if it had not, it still done.
Yeah.
they'd watch for me, coming in or leaving late at night, because I'd stay up. If I had customers, I'd stay right with them, you know. I just didn't keep, I didn't close at 7 with somebody there. They looked out
better
for
than
me.
the cops was.
Yeah, they looked out for me. There was nobody gonna hurt this revolution. But that's one thing I did to sell records. And I had a little trick. If I had a customer come in and he'd asked for something like by Bill Monroe's new record, I'd never suggest a record to anybody. I would pull that record, go to the rack and pull it. But when I pulled it, I would also pull like the Oscar Brothers new one. All those in that line, in that field. And I'd pull 3 or 4. I'd come back and put their song that they wanted. That's it. Okay, I'd take it off, put it in the shop, put another record on, start it, because we have this machine that went outside and everything. Start right with the ticket. They'd say, what's that? Oh, that's the Osborne Brothers new record. Well, I'll take that one too. Okay, off, on to another, and start right again. So they come in to buy one, they walk out with 10 maybe sometimes. The Decca man come in there once and he just couldn't get over it. Him and Stoney was talking. He was waiting to get an order for the order seat in the store. And he told Stoney.
No, it's the Capital.
Was it Capital salesman.
He didn't know what.
And so then Stoney was talking to him while I was waiting on the customer.
Nice guy, real nice.
And he couldn't get over me selling records like that. And not even
Not saying a word.
suggesting.
And
Not saying a word, see.
then he'd wait till she said something. And he knew it was no use to do it. I said, well, she's the one. She'll tell you what she wants. Now, I want to order so-and-so. Right, the Molly didn't have much of anything. Well, I said, well, let me see your book.
I said, oh, yes,
No,
you do.
have to
You've
have
got
it
it with
because they're
so-and-so.
on Capital. And she went through the book and she said, well, here, number so-and-so. Oh, do we have it? Well, after a while, they just come in,
I just
plays
kept
his book
ordering
out,
stuff.
says, there,
And
see what we have. He says,
See, all he was selling was the thing that was hot right then. He didn't know what else he had.
We called up RCA about 2 years ago and asked them something about Jimmy Rogers. They
Yeah.
said, no, Jimmy Rogers, he's not on our label.
that's
I said, what do you mean?
That's
Jimmy
right.
Rogers was your
That's
biggest
right.
artist one.
That's right. What about that now?
And you
But
know,
they really don't know.
we didn't have a distributor for
But this
Force
fella,
Farm.
this fella got so enthused about that he really did. Then King hired him. And he really done a fantastic job. And King had, they were beating them all when they come out with Cowboy Clippers, Grand Clark Jones, Hawkshaw Hawkins, and the Delmore Brothers. Well, man, they
had a lot of
cream
weight
of the
man
crop
and
there.
that
So they have
They
more-
got out records.
Did they have more money behind them than Richard Tone, do you think?
Oh, yes,
Oh,
Sid
my-
Nathan, yes.
Sid had,
Because they started at the same time. But
Yeah.
he just had more
see,
money.
he was Jewish, and he was able to get a hold of money. And Stanton, I don't guess was. Anyway, he didn't have the same
Oh, we couldn't get,
access to now Sid didn't have a lot of money. But he went into it with pressing and everything. He owned everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all. He'd done everything. All the labels, everything was made right there. That was the difference. And where poor old Jim had to have his records pressed. And if they filed up, it was his cost, and they did.
Yeah.
They filed up.
You can count on that, I guess.
I was gonna tell you, now, like labels that we didn't have distributors for back here in the east, we'd order clear from California to get a 4-star. You know, it didn't matter where we had to order to get them, we'd get them. So. And Victor wouldn't give us a franchise. Had every label but Victor. Victor wouldn't give us a franchise because they had Slaters.
Oh.
So I had to order. So I had to order Victor from a one-stop out of New York. I paid 5 cents a record more to get it from the one-stop. So finally, our store was just doing so much business. You know, they was checking in country that they come. Victor come to Stoney.
He said, look, I think I can work that through for you, but, you know. I said, well, it really doesn't matter. I said, they only cost us 5 cents more out of New York. I mean, very good service. I don't know whether you could beat it or not. But it was a little over. We needed Eddie Arnold. And we needed,
Yeah, that's
they had
what they
on
knew
Victor.
right then.
And he says, well, I have to come forward against me. And when he said that, he said, well, how can I? You have your instructions. He said, but if they're ready to go, and they want to sell records, come on in. So we did, and that was the end of that exclusive stuff because we were just selling records.
Of course, they would